this was Israel's plan all along, and Trump has gone along with it. It's an astonishing piece of statecraft by Netanyahu to get a American president who came to power on a specific ticket of not intervening in Middle East wars to then intervene on Israel's side, do exactly what Israel wanted, and then walk away and claim, peace in our time.
Israel has vowed to retaliate following an alleged Iranian strike, hours after both countries indicated they would comply with Donald Trump's ceasefire proposal. The Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, instructed the military to resume targeting Iranian paramilitary and government targets. Meanwhile, the Qatari Prime Minister has been responding to developments at a press conference this morning. Iran launched missiles at a US airbase in Qatar last night. His words have been voiced by a translator.
We have just received a phone call from the Iranian president. We have explained clearly that Qatar is a neighboring country and did not expect that Qatar did not expect this kind of behavior. All the attempts to calm this situation, to deal with the matter with wisdom, and Qatar would not accept this kind of behavior. We hope that the situation will be contained as soon as possible.
Well, that was the Qatari Prime Minister. We've very recently heard from Donald Trump. We'll bring you his words in just a moment. But let's speak right now to the Times correspondent Richard Spencer. Hello, Richard.
Hello.
Thanks for being with us. Look, right now, to your best and possible understanding, is there or is there not a ceasefire?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there will be a ceasefire. Ceasefires are often messy businesses. It's actually quite difficult to get people to both stop firing at once, and President Trump does things in a rather unorthodox way. I don't think I've ever seen a ceasefire which was said to be non-simultaneous, which gave one side the right to carry on firing missiles at the other one while it wasn't supposed to fire missiles. It's all a bit unorthodox. But I do think that by the end of the day, there will be a ceasefire. Yeah, I may be wrong, of course. I mean, everything, as I say, everything can go wrong. But I think there will be a ceasefire.
Should we assume that before announcing that there was a ceasefire, Donald Trump actually just spoke to both sides and said, "Can we have a ceasefire?" Or do you think he just announced it and then expected everything would fall into place?
No, I think I'm the last person to try and explain President Trump's Middle East policy in conventional, old-fashioned terms. He's very unorthodox. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. But actually, throughout this whole process, there has been a greater level of orthodoxy. I think maybe not in the way he presents it, but what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, without wishing to be too nerdy, if you look at the way the G7 statement on Iran was crafted, the various negotiations and the concessions that Trump got out of it before he signed up to it, that actually you can trace his policy through those changes. So this is a lot more orthodox than we think. So I think he spoke to the Qataris, possibly the emir personally, certainly the Qataris, who are often mediators, not in this particular round of events with Iran, but they're often intermediaries with Iran. And he spoke to Netanyahu. So I think it's a proper negotiation for ceasefire, even if presented in a Trumpian way.
And look, if this comes off, Richard, if this is indeed a ceasefire that lasts, and frankly that even lasts a short amount of time, what he would have done then is sort of joined in on an Israeli strike on Iran, used it to execute what has basically been an American sort of prerogative in the region with Iran, denuclearizing Iran for decades that no past American president has managed to do, and then immediately brought about a ceasefire afterwards. If he has managed to do this, as it says, this is an astonishing piece of statecraft, really, isn't it? Whatever one thinks of the man.
I mean, it's successful. I don't know about astonishing, because this was Israel's plan all along, and Trump has gone along with it. It's an astonishing piece of statecraft by Netanyahu to get a American president who came to power on a specific ticket of not intervening in Middle East wars to then intervene on Israel's side, do exactly what Israel wanted, and then walk away and claim, peace in our time. That's what Netanyahu said he was going to do. As I say, if you look at to bang on about the same point, if you look at those changes to the G7 document where he changed basically the wording of, where the G7 urged against escalation to urging a resolution followed by a broader de-escalation in the Middle East. The resolution that he had in mind is the resolution that Netanyahu had in mind, which was dropping bombs on the remaining bits, the key bits of Iranian nuclear program, and then declaring a ceasefire. And that's exactly what he's done.
Well, look, as I said, we've just heard from Donald Trump himself.
But I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous.
How will you respond if you keep firing fire?
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. All I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see.
Well, so that's Donald Trump there. Richard Spencer is still with me. Richard, I don't know how much of that you could hear, but that sounds like Donald Trump quite annoyed that things aren't going according to the plan that he made last night.
Yeah, I mean, again, I may be overly cynical, but I think there's a lot of theatre about this. You just heard before we started talking, you heard the Emir of Qatar, the Prime Minister of Qatar, saying how annoyed he was with Iran for this escalation yesterday, when we actually know that this was all choreographed in advance. I think Trump's fury with Netanyahu is also choreographed, because he doesn't want to be seen as the person who's just doing what Netanyahu tells him to. I would draw your attention to the fact that we've had reporting in the press for months, in fact years, about Trump not liking Netanyahu, being angry with Netanyahu, constantly having to tell Netanyahu this and that. But you won't find much that's happened and that America has done since Trump came to the White House in January, which is in any way contrary to Netanyahu's plans for Israel and for the Middle East. So, always look at what actually happens rather than what people say about what's happening.
Thank you very much indeed. Times correspondent Richard Spencer there with some wise words, I think.